Someplace in the deserts of an equal universe, a giant transport is cruising across the sands and heading towards the dim pinnacle that is covered by thunder mists and tempests. Captain Admiral inspects the drawings of design. It is inappropriate to understand that something. What they don't understand is that a giant monster is following intently behind their ship, in the long run going after them irately and tossing everybody high up. Captain Admiral surges towards the guiding haggle to recover control of the ship, while individuals hold tight frantically to endure the monster's frenzy. In the midst of the disarray, Hunter has lost the ship while the monster proceeds to assault the group individuals, abandoning the man in the sands. In the interim, a group of U.S. soldiers led by their Captain Artemis is traversing the pastries in an alternate world. Searching for their colleagues who vanished quite recently, they adventure across a vacant field where various markers produced using stones should be visible on the floor, ultimately showing up toward the end of the tracks. Shockingly, the tire marks appear to have vanished in no place. Before the soldiers can explore further, a huge storm approaches them from the skylines, making individuals escape towards the other bearing right away. Nonetheless, their arrangement falls flat, as the foreboding clouds approach the vehicles, consuming the soldiers into the abyss. The lightning strike over and again around the vehicles, making the stone markers start gleaming as a huge entry opens directly before them. Individuals drive across the opening and runs off a precipice, making the vehicles flip in the air as they tumble down towards the ground. At the point when the soldiers at long last arrive at the base, they rush out from the vehicle to re-evaluate what is going on. Yet, understands that everything looks totally changed. While the mountain they tumbled from has mysteriously vanished, Captain Artemis takes a look at the guide to see close by milestones. However, the main thing that is present is an enormous pinnacle not too far off, which is encircled by roaring mists. They start to go out to scout the region, and shockingly, the fighters are ready to find the remaining parts of the group that they were searching for. Upon closer assessment, Artemis understands that everything is scorched to fresh, counting the sand that is around the area which has been warmed into glass. They choose to clear from the region, thinking that risk in adjacent. Yet regardless of how far they drive, there's nothing with the exception of sand and the mist, the mark on signals from human development. The soldiers crash into a stunning sight, where they see a giant skeleton that must be the remaining parts for an enormous creature. What they don't understand is that the hunter is covertly watching. What's more, the man shoots an admonition, took shots at individuals, attempting to let them know there is risk, imagining that the man is an unfriendly. The soldiers discharge their weapons at the hunter, compelling him to take off. Nonetheless, they understand that something is off base when the ground starts shaking. What's more, a giant creature from underneath the sand surges at the soldiers with blinding pace. They attempt to drive away from the beast while firing their weapons irately to dial back the adversary. Yet their assaults are pointless regardless of the number of times they fire the rounds. The creature figures out how to shut in and jump starts out from the sands, flipping one of the vehicles across the field. The creature thunders angrily and turns the consideration towards different soldiers, while individuals shoot their weapons constantly at the monster. The creature can surround the vehicle and thumps the vehicle in reverse utilizing huge power, sending the soldiers flying onto the ground. Before individuals can recuperate, the beast penetrates one of the soldiers right toward the rear, raising the man up high while everybody watches in shock. Understanding that he's about pass on, the soldier penances himself by tossing every one of his explosives at the creature, causing tremendous blasts on the foe's face and allowing individuals an opportunity to get away. The soldiers run towards a field of rocks, while Artemis fires ceaselessly at the beast, attempting to get them however much time as could reasonably be expected. The giant creature shut in onto individuals as it pushes over the designs close by. However, the hunter from a long way away can shoot his bolt that detonates on the monster's face. The soldiers figures out how to escape into a cavern, while the foe handles the entry over and over in dissatisfaction. Individuals release all their capability onto the beast, causing it to surrender and dismiss, as the creature at last chooses to withdraw into the sands. The night moves toward the terrains, and everything transforms into obscurity, while the soldiers have issues settling on what to do next. Before they can recuperate, a giant bug takes hold of Artemis, furthermore, lifts the lady out of sight, as it infuses a narcotic into her system. Individuals take shots at the creatures, figuring out how to free their chief and push back the beast. Yet regardless of the amount they attempt, they really can't restore their captain. More foes show up nearby, as the group attempts to retaliate. However, the staggering numbers drive them to withdraw and abandon the lady. At the point when Artemis at last recaptures cognizance, she winds up inside a giant case, encircled by casualties who are draping topsy-turvy from the roofs. The lady attempts to break free and figures out how to tear open the webs, making her drop to the cold earth. At the point when she at last gets up, Artemis acknowledges in shock that every one of her colleagues are caught and killed inside the cases, abandoning her in the foe's alarming home. She attempts to find an exit plan from this horrendous spot, as she running into one of her colleagues who's in some way made due to. They attempted to escape together, however are encircled by the horrendous bugs. Furthermore, the man is killed directly before her, With no other decision, Artemis takes out a splash can and dispatches the fire from her light towards the monsters, consuming all that is before her. She pursues this open door and takes off from the animals, attempting to get back onto the surface by slithering out from the caverns. At long last, getting away from this living bad dream, the monsters attempt to pursue the lady, however prevents away from the light, conceding the soldier transitory security in the sun. Subsequent to regathering her solidarity, Artemis figures out how to move on to the most noteworthy vantage point around here, however, understands that there's nothing in sight with the exception of the deserts. What's much more dreadful, as she finds that the giant monster is monitoring nearby the terrains, holding on to gobble up anything that goes to the sands. Artemis must choose the option to continue to investigate for cover before the sun sets, ultimately showing up into a spot that is filled by wrecks. She goes into the design and sees various weapons produced using creature bones, yet understands that something is close by as she feels a presence behind her. Out of nowhere, Hunter leaps out and puts a blade to her throat, abducting the person for going after him prior in spite of his honest goals to save them. He brings Artemis into his shelter while the sun drops down into the skylines, yet again permitting the horrendous bugs to meander the grounds. The following morning, the hunter awakens from his rest, just to see that Artemis has figured out how to break free, and gets hit all there mentally by the lady. The two starts to battle as they thump each other onto the furnishings, breaking everything inside as the two of them attempt to acquire the advantage. Angrily, Artemis handles the hunter irately, sending them both out from the caverns as they fold down into the grounds beneath, making the man collide right with the monster's nest. The bugs all multitude towards the man and attempts to take hold of him while he battles frantically for his life, yet Artemis figures out how to save the hunter without a second to spare by hauling him out. The lady attempts to wipe the slate clean to her captor and shows him that she's not the foe by offering back his blade, prevailing upon the hunter by taking care of him chocolate from her reality. Artemis discovers that the monster in the desert is called Diablos. Also, they need to kill the beast together to escape from this horrible spot. The hunter shows the lady the shields and weapons utilized by his kin. Also, Artemis is flabbergasted by the basic properties moved by the blades as it gets on fire going. They put out up a snare to occupy the Diablos and runs the other direction, attempting to hang tight for the opportunity to successfully return to the vehicles and recover the rocket launchers. The machine slings a pail and tosses it onto the sands close by, making the monster pursue it right away and allowing them an opportunity to run for the vehicles. Notwithstanding the animal notification that it was just an interruption, furthermore, starts running towards the fighters by jumping into the ground, understanding that they can't outrun the foe. The hunter chooses to be the lure and runs the another way, attempting to bait the animal away so Artemis can get to weapons. The monster pursues intently behind and leaps out from the sands, tossing the man very high, utilizing colossal power and thumping him onto the ground. The Diablos approaches the hunter to complete the kill, yet the man takes the bow and focus on the monster, shooting a bolt solidly into the adversary's eye. The creature ends up being enraged and charges at the man, thumping the hunter away utilizing its huge tail. Before the fighter can be killed, Artemis starts discharging the minigun at the foe, diverting the animal and turning its consideration towards her. The monster thunders at the lady and charges in rapidly. However, she fires the rocket launcher right at the foe's face, causing an immense blast. To her shock, the assault caused no harm by any means, just irritating the beast even more as it flips her vehicle across the desert, totally obliterating the vehicle subsequently. The monster surges in to complete the kill. However, the hunter is capable to move on to Diablo's head and cut the adversary by utilizing his giant sword. The creature shouts in desolation and discards the man, making him crash onto the grounds beneath. Artemis sees the opportunity to kill the giant monster and accuses it of all her strength, shooting her catching snare onto the foe and flies towards Diablo's head. The lady figures out how to take hold of the giant sword while the creature shakes viciously, attempting to knock the soldier off its body. She clutches the creature frantically and cuts the weapon totally into the monster, making it crash onto the designs close by and tumbles down to its demise. With the foe watching the deserts killed, the two can cross the terrains as they venture nearer towards the tower. At last showing up into a tasty desert garden that is blossoming with life, the fighters can camp out and lay their bodies on the apparently quiet land. Around evening time, Artemis awakens after a huge animal flies over the camp, causing them to look over the skylines, just to see that everything is being gotten on fire going by a dragon. The grounds start to shake as various dinosaurs rush out from the forest while on fire, constraining the warriors to take off. Out of nowhere, a huge man leaps out from the trees and crushes onto the ground, causing an enormous shockwave that drives the animals away and saves Artemis' life. Artemis accepts out her weapon also and gathers the flares onto her edges, attempting to fight off the approaching creatures close by the strange man. Simultaneously, the hunter is additionally attempting to escape from the dinosaurs. Be that as it may, shows up before a huge bluff, catching the man with no place to run. Fortunately, a lady surges in on a tree plant and takes hold of the hunter in the latest possible second. saving the man from the creatures as the animals tumble down into the chasm. Incidentally, the outsiders are the hunter's companions. Furthermore, they are here to safeguard their partner in the wake of recuperating from the Diablo's assault. The captain educates Artemis that they know regarding the presence between the universe. What's more, that the tower is a vessel of transportation across the universe. They have seen irregularities inside the design, which is the reason they are here to fix the tower and keep their universes from crashing into one another. Be that as it may, the structure is monitored by a horrendous dragon called Rathalos. Also, they need to annihilate the animal to get into the pinnacle. The following morning, the warriors head out for the excursion as individuals cheer for their prosperity. They move over the slippery mountains that live over the fields underneath, heading increasingly close towards the puzzling tower as the sun blurs up high. The group shows up before the massive entry, where the sky tower is conjuring blazes of lightning from its pinnacle. Individuals are stunned by the huge construction, and notification that it's making irregular entrances around the area, as it turns out to be progressively unsteady. Before they can look at the circumstance further, a huge creature flies in from the sky and delivers a blast of blazes onto the warriors, making individuals shout in misery. The monster uncovers itself as it lands on the stages and thunders irately at the invaders. Before the creature keeps on going after, the captain surges out and dispatches a shockwave at the foe. In any case, the dragon fight back by spitting fire, driving the man to take cover behind the pillars. The creature flies in towards the people as the warriors charge angrily at the monster, conflicting into one another as a wild fight starts. The captain dispatches another energy wave at the dragon and shocks the animal, permitting Artemis to take the risk and cuts at the monster, cutting open the dragon's wings as the dragon thunders in torment. Other colleagues charge in to go after too. In any case, their endeavors are finished when the dragon thumps them away. The group keeps on driving the dragon in reverse while Artemis cuts violently at the dragon's face and puncturing her sharp edges inside the foe's mouth. Yet, the monster figures out how to thump the lady away utilizing its wings and send her flying towards the bluff. The dragon approaches Artemis and opens its huge mouth, sending off a surge of fire towards the lady and constraining her to bounce down into the chasm. Fortunately, Artemis can go into one of the layered gateways and travel across the universes, winding up back in her universe, as the helicopters approach her for the salvage. The soldiers bring Artemis into the military transportation and plans to take off, as the ground powers show up to get the region also. Be that as it may, before the plane can depart this region, a massive entryway opens and delivers the dragon into this world, permitting the dragon to tear the aircraft into pieces as they tumble towards the ground and crash land onto the desert. The military attempts to retaliate by utilizing their ground powers, yet the dragon releases the blazes onto the soldiers and obliterates the whole unit right away. Artemis can endure the fall and makes it out from the destruction, just to see that the dragon is totally destroying the military by utilizing its blazes. The dragon lands onto the ground by and thunders irately in the ocean of fire, while Artemis locks eyes onto the creature and chooses to send off a last assault. Artemis runs towards the dragon and flames her grapplers at the dragon's arm, permitting her to fly towards the foe with staggering velocity. She takes hold of the dragon's wings and cuts across the skin by utilizing her body weight, basically establishing the adversary by removing its capacity to fly. Artemis dispatches a flaring shot at the dragon just before it's going to breath shoot, illuminating the gas in the dragon's mouth and making its body detonate from within. Shockingly, Rathalos can endure the assault and thunders irately at the lady, wanting to get revenge on the human for causing it such a lot of torment. However, unexpectedly another blast thumps away the creature, uncovering that Hunter has traveled to World 2, as Hunter keeps on terminating his detonating bolts at the dragon, handling a hit inside the dragon's throat which causes a huge blast, furthermore, killing the dragon as it falls towards the ground. Before the two can praise their triumph, Admiral shows up too and cautions them that the breaks are turning out to be more regrettable. While the mists start to cover the whole desert, another dragon takes off from the sky tower and crosses into this universe, while the warriors charge in boldly by employing their natural weapons to ward off the horrible dragon. They take the retaliate to the equal universe, as a mysterious person watches them from the towers, uncovering that he may be the mastermind behind the crisis. The end. If you like this story, please subscribe to the channel and like it to motivate me to bring you more stories like this.